Hi. I'm not off to a great start here, but I'm trying to queue up, I guess, sort of the glorious introduction to an experiment that I'm trying, which I think of as maybe we'll call it gonzo programming. I've been doing this chess TDD series for a long time, and what I do with that is I write code, and I'm just kind of like comfortable in doing that, and then I go do a voiceover to explain what I'm doing and sort of offer up some lessons, and then maybe a final cut. This is just going to be me writing software, so gonzo software development, as it were. I will just narrate everything that I'm doing as I go, which may slow me down a little bit, but I think it might be interesting to see what it looks like when somebody actually just kind of sits around and develops software. I am a fairly experienced developer. I do a lot of coaching, mentoring, that sort of thing. So at least at one time, I was pretty proficient with this. I don't do a lot of full-time software development anymore. So, but what I do have under my belt is well more than a decade of experience. And so I'm kind of hoping that as I do this, it will, maybe you'll kind of see how the sausage is made, so to speak. It's not all awesome. It doesn't all go well. In fact, it rarely does. And I'm a little rusty these days. So what I want to do, I won't drag this out too much longer, but you will see everything I'm doing and I'll kind of think out loud. What I want to do, for various reasons that I may go into in more detail later, is that I want to be able to go to GitHub and say, give me all of the people, in such and such a region that have a repository that features C# or Java or something. So what I'm going to do is write some client code that does that, but I'm going to show you and demonstrate how I would kind of slice that into thin pieces where I could have sort of easy end-to-end wins. And I'm going to stumble my way through the tooling and figuring things out. I've done very little .NET development over the last year. I've been mainly coaching people in the Java space. The Chess TDD series often is the only .NET development I do. So there have been a lot of new developments that I've been following with Visual Studio, but I'm not all that up to date. So you'll get to watch me kind of flub around like a newbie. So what I'm doing here is looking at my GitHub repo, which you can see. Because I wanted to see this. I did put my location information in there. So basically, my initial hypothesis is that I should be able to do some stuff in my application, type in Chicago, and then get back a list of people, one of whom should be me, since I am listed as in Chicago on GitHub. I don't remember how that works exactly. Because I don't actually live in Chicago. That might have been a lie that I told her. Maybe it's just the... if I can edit this, edit profile. Oh, I could, well, whatever. I'm going to leave it as Chicago, but so I guess I was just feeling, so I don't actually live in Chicago. I live in a suburb of Chicago. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So the point is, if I put in Chicago, I should get back me and probably a few other people, assuming that I put in C# as my language. So it's that exciting time when I get to do file new project. Okay, and so what sort of new project should I do and where should I put it? Ooh, yeah, let's add it to source control. Maybe I can like take care of adding it to GitHub because that's where I want to store it. It's very meta. I'm going to put this project on GitHub that scrapes GitHub. So, okay, I want this actually to be a class library. And the reason I'm going to do that is, oh gosh, it's that I should have thought of this ahead of time. I don't know what to call this. The reason I want this to be a class library is because I don't really know what sort of input and output I want to give it. Maybe I'll throw this up on Azure somewhere and have it be a hosted web application, or maybe it'll be a browser plugin. Maybe it'll be a console app. I don't really know. But what I do know is that I want to set up some acceptance tests that feed input into an API and get output back. So I'll, at the very beginning, I'll feed in strings and get back strings. So I know I can do that with a library, and then I'll set up a test project, a unit test project, and an acceptance test project. So anyway, I'm kind of stalling here. What should I call this thing? Let's see. I don't want to call it GitHub Scraper. That just sounds pretty general. I'm going to call it programmer. Sounds sort of formal. Coder, developer, I don't know. Hacker, finder. Yeah. I feel like I'm going to regret this later. Location. Okay. Let's see what happens if I click this add to source control. Okay, NCrunch. Git. All right, so yes, NCrunch. I'm pretty excited because I just installed all of this stuff. Like I just got it's not premium anymore, whatever, Enterprise Visual Studio 2015, and I installed, CodeRush and NCrunch and Ndependent and all my goodies. So I'm going to get to play with this for the first time. So I guess as long as we're here, I know a little bit about NCrunch, having done a Pluralsight course on it. When I run the tests automatically when changes are detected, I don't know why. I wish that weren't the default. I do not want to ignore any tests. I just want them to run. So yes, let's get crunching. That sounds good. I'm going to close this window. I have nothing to test yet. Now, I've never done this before, so I know I want Git. Use the selected system. I don't know if I'm ready to commit. Interesting. Okay. So now you're going to watch me embarrassingly, unless the tooling here is capable of making me not look stupid, publish to a remote repository. Yes! I think that's just what I want. I wonder if I have to create one first, or if I could put in one that's, let's see what this looks like. Yeah. I feel like this isn't going to go well. What did I call this? Hacker Finder. Go. See the output window for details. Error encountered while publishing branch. Response status code does not indicate success. 404. So that answers my question. It will not create it for me. Publish. No. Huh. I was really hoping that might work. Actions. Open command prompt. Branch master. Hacker Finder. Gosh. I wonder if see, my instinct now is to stop this thing and figure this out, but that's not what I'll do. Visual Studio 2015 publish to GitHub. Let's see what comes up. GitHub Extension. Oh, I like the sound of that. Let's see if I can do it through NuGet. Maybe it's not NuGet. Maybe it's an extension, as indicated by the name, GitHub Extension. So I'm just going to do this. GitHub Extensions. Yeah. Cool. I'm sometimes a little reckless when it comes to installing tooling. This is what popped up. Yes, let's do it. I've read nothing about this. I know nothing. I'm just hoping that magic buttons appear that let me do what I want. I will go back and uninstall this if it doesn't do what I want it to, so I don't just leave cruft in the system. But I am pretty experimental this way. So what I'm hoping here is if I get back to source control, I really just want to be able to, through Visual Studio, yeah, that looks promising. Ish. So I really just want to create a new project and have it appear on GitHub. I do a lot of lone wolf work because of these demonstrations and tutorials and Pluralsight courses and such. So I don't care too much about all the workflow stuff I can get through Git and GitHub at the moment. I really just want to push it up to GitHub. So GitHub, that's interesting. Changes, branches, sync. Okay. Actions. Publish. Yeah, let's publish it. Same problem. I wonder if I created the repository. I might be getting myself into a world of pain here, but let's create a new repository. Call it Hacker Finder. What? Add a license. Eh. All right. So there it is. Now it happens if I try to publish. Publish. It worked. I'm pretty pumped about that. Let's see what's up here now. Branch? No. I do have a commit, but that was probably my initial commit. Oh, I probably haven't like actually added any of this. Commit. Class 1, whatever. We're freewheeling here. As an aside, I go into coach mode a little bit here. I think a big thing that you can do is instead of starting to write code and then thinking like, oh, well, source control is something I'll figure out later, and publishing this is something I'll figure out later, the more of this you can do up front, the better. Like if I knew that I was going to make this into a web application, I'd be spending this time, of course, getting it into source control, but then also setting up my automated build and deployment pipeline. So like if it were Azure, I'd probably use Visual Studio, we call it Visual Studio Online, whatever it is, to instrument it so that when I made check-ins, it would do a build and run my tests and static analysis. And then if everything were good, to actually deploy it. I would get that all that working out of the gate with like one source control file saying hello world in there. So that later, like if you do that, then right from the beginning, you're checking in and deploying. You've got continuous integration, continuous deployment right away, so that you're not building up this deficit between what it looks like on your machine and what it looks like in production. Because that deficit, you'll find yourself, starting to add libraries and things only to find out much later that, oh, well, that doesn't actually work in production. If you get it going immediately, then the day that you add some dependency and that doesn't work in production, you'll find out about it because you'll go to check in and all the deployment will happen and you'll get errors and you'll say, oh, maybe it'd be better if I didn't add this library versus adding it and then depending on it for like 4 months. And now it's really not an option not to use it. So anyway, I'll get off my soapbox. Initial VS solution. Check in, commit. Okay, sync. Yeah. Let's see what happens now. That's promising. I like the way this is looking. Even a relative, like I said, I know enough about Git and GitHub to sync my source code in different places. I am no expert in the workflow of it. I do have some experience with the ALM tooling around it and such, but it is not my area of expertise. So I'm pretty happy with Visual Studio and with the way all that went. Like I've got code up on GitHub. That's a success. I don't know if I did it the right way exactly, but I just kind of stumble my way through and don't consider things to be problems until they're impeding me from doing something. Okay, so now to actual code. That's cool. I've got something checked into GitHub. I don't really want this to be called class 1. But what I'm going to do right from the beginning here is first I'm going to add a test project. Test. Call this Hacker Finder Test. Going to delete this thing that it gives me because I don't want it. And that's fun. I like the little beaker. Add a reference to See, I still know a little bit about Visual Studio, so I'm going to need that. And then, gosh, I did this with my chess TDD series, and I'm really, comfortable using SpecFlow, but I have only used it, or I've only set it up the once, so this is probably going to be fairly embarrassing. I wonder if I do an install of SpecFlow, if then, like, in that screen, I get a project template for SpecFlow. So where are you, NuGet? Manage, yeah, that looks good. Ooh, this is new and confusing. Then again, I sometimes feel like I'm not very bright. Include pre-release. How do I search? And why is this something I can save? Entity frame, what? Oh, search. SpecFlow. SpecFlow. Yes. Do it. Install. Okay, yeah. Let's try that. Oh, okay. Is about to make changes to this solution. I am comfortable with that. We're pretty early in the game, so I feel like there's not a lot that can go wrong. Just added packages.config. That's good. Okay, we're going to save the solution. Whoa. Save. I don't know if that seemed like it worked. Save all, that probably worked. Okay, so that was weird. I wonder if there's like a SpecFlow thing that I have to add this way. Let's try it. Oh, you know what? I've got my old Visual Studio. Up until pretty recently here, I was using Visual Studio 2013, like for my entire chess TDD series. So it's going to be interesting for the viewers of that series. I'm going to switch over to 2015. There's some stuff in 2015 I really like, just right out of the box that I was kind of excited about. So yeah, that's fun. I kind of like, the ability. I have this recording theme in there. I was bringing that recording theme over. Oh, do I have any code? You're seeing code. Oh, so I will. I'm sorry. I'll go to the 14-point font in the white screen so it's easier to see. You won't have to watch me write code in that tiny font on the dark background. I have gotten used to the big font in the white background because I do so much of this screencasting. I'm not like a huge fan of doing it that way, but I can live with it. It's good for viewing, which is my main purpose with this. So I'll code that way. What am I doing here? Oh, right. I was going to see what extensions and updates I have installed. SpecFlow? Okay, so there is one. SpecFlow integration. All right, so that answers that. Goodbye, Visual Studio 2013, and hello, SpecFlow. So, I can get away with not being especially knowledgeable by simple virtue of the fact that I've gotten pretty good at searching for ways to cover up the fact that I'm not very knowledgeable. So I do not have an encyclopedic knowledge of what I need to do, but I have excellent deductive powers where if I had it set up in 2013, I probably want it for 2015. Why is this not doing what I want it? Oh, it did. It also just kicked me to a web page. All right, splash screen is up, but on my other monitor. Yeah, there we go. This is my second monitor, so awkwardly all the splash screens and some of the notifications load on the other side, and you can't see them, but nevertheless, they are happening. So we got class 1. Now, with any luck, if I add another project, other project types. Crap. That could have gone better. Visual C#, maybe it's in here. I don't even know that this exists, frankly. Other languages? Ooh, cool. You know what? Before I go back to the Googles, let me see if this is like a thing in 2013. All right. So I have a scratch pad. This is a common thing that I do. What you're looking at here is probably some example code I made for a blog post or something. There's this dump all the things. The question is, does Scratchpad even compile? Okay. Why do I care right now if it compiles? Oh, well, whatever. Does that even compile? Where's my output? Yeah, there we go. So let's add a new project. Test. What? Oh, I was doing an experiment by running some really old framework stuff. It doesn't matter. Okay, so now I want to target the right framework. Can I search spec? Okay, so that doesn't seem to work. Maybe it all just comes in through NuGet. One last thing to try. SpecFlow project template. That doesn't look promising. So maybe it just doesn't exist. If it does and you're watching this and I don't figure it out on my own later, let me know. Oh, crap. Let's do this. I'm going to go to my chess TDD project and I'm going to see if there's like anything special going on here for the chess acceptance. So we got features, packages, references. Okay, so I probably created this as a unit test thing and then added SpecFlow. I'm going to go with that. It's getting, I'm going to try to break this up into segments that are of a reasonable time length, and we're getting a little unreasonable here. So let me just try that quickly. And I'm not actually going to check in any tests per se. That'll be next time. But I'll just create this project and then try adding SpecFlow to it. And I'll just see if that gives me the same dependencies. Boy, this is really messing with me. It's different. Okay. Right. Manage NuGet packages. What? Spec. This will take some getting used to, I guess. Package source. This is... Goodness. Okay. So, wait, did it install it before for all of these? This is the first thing I found about Visual Studio that I don't like as much in the new one, but it might just be that I'm not familiar with it. So I guess it did. I don't want SpecFlow in all of them. How do I... okay. What happens if I do this? Nothing. So this isn't great. Maybe somebody watching will have mercy on me and give me a primer on this. Well, I just... What? Oh, I see. NuGet. So this is just for hackerfinder.acceptance. Okay, so I want SpecFlow here. What if I do this? No, I... Oh, I think I get it. show me installed. Ah! Okay. My dislike is evaporating. This is all right. I think that's like a common programmer thing. Anytime anybody, well, maybe it's just a common human thing. Anytime somebody moves your cheese, your immediate reaction is to dislike it. Gotta learn to give it a chance. Okay, installed. And I do not want SpecFlow in here. Okay, I'm going to quit while I'm ahead for this episode, so that's it. Let's push this on up to GitHub and ignore for a moment that that I don't really like that class name. Setup initial. Setup can be past or present. I don't like that. Implemented. That's firmly past tense. Initial project structure. Gonna commit, which will prompt me to save, and then we'll sync. Yeah, okay. I think at some point I probably need to make GitHub the master, but I don't care too much right now. Yeah, that's looking good. I'll add next time I'll add some other instrumentation around. Well, anyway, it doesn't matter. You'll see next time what I do next time. So until next time.